Thank you for taking the time to listen to Turkie Talk, where I, Reuben Turkie, psychotherapeutic counsellor, hypnotherapist, supervisor, lecturer, trainer and mental health consultant, sit and speak with exceptional people. Why Turkie Talk, I hear you ask? Well, it's my surname. Feel free to insert as many gags as you like. My personal favourite being not quite stuffed next Christmas. Joking aside, back to the essence of the podcast. Turkie Talk holds a mirror up to what happens at RT Counselling, my private practice. When people find the courage to seek therapy, an unfurling begins. The floodgates open, the tears fall, and a healthy, cathartic, emotional outpouring starts to unfold. It's a privilege to sit with these people every day, to witness their growing self-awareness and in some cases, their self-actualization. To watch the regrowth of the person they needed to rediscover. But Turkie Talk reaches beyond the therapy room. It is conversations with inspirational, incredible people whose stories it is humbling honour to share with you. So take 7 deep breaths. Yes, 7. Settle into a comfortable chair, snuggle down into your bed, put on your headphones, find your special place wherever that is, and immerse yourself into Turkie Talk. Hello, lovely people. I am honoured, delighted and privileged to have today with us a good friend of mine, Mark Long, former bodybuilder and fitness coach turned coach.
Yes, it turned life coach. Yeah, so I'm Mark. I've been a fitness coach for the past 25 years. And in the last year, since meeting Reuben, I've taken a bit of a change of a career, mainly into life coaching now with, a little bit of mentoring also involved.
Okay. So it'd be fair to suggest that you've had quite a transformation in that time. Tell us a little bit, just for context, about the history, perhaps of how we met.
Okay.
Sharing only what feels safe.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm a pretty open book, to be honest. So we met, it was kind of this time last year. So back in January of 2025, it was a Sunday evening. My wife decided after a weekend of heavily boozing, she was going to leave the family home. So there was no kind of instigating factors or anything like that. And as you can imagine, it's pretty traumatic. So I was left desperately seeking some kind of guidance and support, and I came across your advert on Google.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in touch with you, and from there I think we started having a bit of a working relationship. And I'd always been a guy that would never ever acknowledge talking to somebody as a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was always the gym. That was the only thing I was kind of interested in, was pushing weights and understanding myself physically and putting myself in kind of discomfort and pain that way. So it was kind of, I guess I would say it was that self-sabotaging, but also putting yourself in a position of uncomfortableness to understand what you could fully kind of accept.
Yeah.
And then once we started talking, it was like ping, light bulb moment of that is, this is a way that I could heal myself.
Sure.
Not just through self-sabotage of making myself feel worse physically, to mentally make myself feel better. It was chatting and understanding that there's so many more facets to repairing yourself mentally and putting yourself in a position of vulnerability to really accept where you want to be. And like I said, I'd never ever done that before. Ever. I don't even think I'd really spoken truths to people. I think I'd been quite a closed book up until that point. And then, like I say, it was genuinely the first 1 or 2 sessions felt emotionally so brutal.
Sure.
But it was so liberating to put myself out there and just go, I've got no judgment. This guy's not judging me at all.
Yeah.
And putting myself into that position. Yeah, it was so liberating. And there was so many moments it felt very traumatic, but at the same time, it was like, for me, at that point, because I felt like I'd lost everything.
Yeah.
I really hadn't. And that's what anybody that's kind of going through adversity needs to know. You will be okay. You've just got to hang in there and just rebuild a little bit. And that's kind of where hopefully our friendship and everything has started.
Sure.
So yeah, no, it's been, so from kind of counsellor to client to, we've gone through all of that. And now, you know, I'm on the other side of it all.
Yeah.
And in a way better place. But it was kind of seeing what you enabled me to believe and achieve is what I want to be able to help other people with now.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, it's really touching hearing you just reflect back some of our working relationship. And just to sort of pick up on some of the key points you made there, key observations. I mean, firstly, there are scores of men from different age groups who suppress feelings but also struggle with expressing them.
Yeah, definitely.
And I call it a floodgate moment with men. And you know, you'll get sort of stereotypically burly, big sort of builder types perhaps who don't talk about none of that shit kind of stuff. And actually when they begin to connect with true emotions, with congruence, with their inner truths, they embrace it. You use the word liberating. And they find themselves, you know, down the pub, in the gym, saying to other men, you know, almost has a domino effect. It's almost like contagious in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
And I suppose, bringing it back to you, you've gone on to write really inspirational stuff. Your podcast, you've been in podcasts with people like Joe Wicks, to name, you know, probably the most notable person you've worked with. Tell us a little bit about what led you to that encounter.
Okay, so if we have to go back quite a long way. So at 12 years old, I was diagnosed with a genetic eye condition. And in all honesty, full disclosure, I ignored it for years and years and years. And it was even to the point of where, because we're talking 1992, somewhere like that. So the internet wasn't really a thing. So there wasn't the evidence for my parents to even look at.
Sure.
So rightly or wrongly, we all ignored it. I was just told in that consultation, you'll be blind by the time you're 16. So obviously it's quite a drop the mic moment, right? It's quite a big thing and quite... But equally, what do you do with that information if you can't process it? Because there isn't enough information there for you to go off and do your own research. You're just very much listening to one person at that particular time and just hoping they've got it wrong. And it seemed like they had got it wrong, because I got to 16, could still see. So I was like, winning the whole way through this, right? So I'm winning the whole time. I'm thinking, this is brilliant. But in the background, I always knew there was something a little bit not quite right. You know, like I couldn't see as well as some of my peers. Like I couldn't see stars and stuff at night. And I was big into, like, you know, Cubs and Scouts and stuff. We'd go out on these things. Couldn't never see the stars, whereas everybody else could, and I was just kind of just ignore it.
So would you define that as partially sighted at that point?
Yeah. So the term is retinitis pigmentosa.
Right.
So it used to be known as tunnel vision. So they would have said that there would be a certain spot of your sight that you could see very well at. The rest of it you can't. But it manifests itself slightly differently in obviously everybody, because it's, you know, you're an individual.
Sure.
Your side's going to be different to mine. And that's kind of where my whole imposter syndrome came along, where I'd never been authentic, was that I could talk to you and I would have convinced myself that your eyesight is subjective to mine.
Right? Yes. Yeah.
So I'd be like, I don't know how Reuben sees. He's telling me you can see that, but can he really? And that's the way I kind of, in my mind, had always figured it out. So I just lied to myself, basically. And again, it's self-preservation. I just wanted to make sure,
of course,
whatever it was I was coping with, because I'd never dealt, like I said, I'd never dealt with it. Anyway, I kind of digressed a little. So I got to ignored it the whole way through my 20s, 30s. I knew there was something going on. And at one stage, I got to 40 and realized that, there's definitely something going on. Still ignoring it, not talking to anybody about it. My ex-wife definitely knew there was something, because she held this fear of, because I was still driving, right? She held this fear of me driving all the time. But I kind of got into my head, yeah, I know something's going on, but I just want to keep it going, basically as long as I could, because I was the breadwinner for our family.
Right, okay.
So ultimately I felt there was pressure. I needed to be able to drive. I needed to be able to do these things.
And you were a fitness instructor at that stage?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so I was running a gym at the local university. So yeah, needed to get there. It was 15-mile drive there, 15-mile drive back. But like you say, I knew there was something wrong, because I was leaving for work at 4 a.m, because I knew there wouldn't be much traffic on the road.
Right.
So I'm driving, knowing these things. And one day I'm going to work, and it just so happened to be the sun was up. The sun was incredibly bright, and somebody pulled out. I swerved, smashed into a Cotswold stone wall.
Wow.
Wall goes everywhere. My truck is in like a million pieces, stuck on top of a wall. And somebody very kindly stopped, dragged my truck off the wall with their truck. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Car outside the road, phone my wife. I'm never driving again. Right. I was just like, I can't drive. I was just like, there's something is up, and I need to acknowledge it. And for her, I guess it was that moment of relief also, because it was that kind of knowing that I'd accepted it. I literally went to the opticians that afternoon. Do you drive, Mark? I was driving. Please don't drive anymore.
Okay.
And that was that, right?
Yeah.
So this kind of brings me on to the Joe Wicks thing. I contacted guide dogs. That literally, as I'm walking out of the opticians, they said, look, you're gonna need a guide dog at some stage.
Okay, yeah.
So it's best to get on the list now. Contact them. And a couple of weeks go by. They kind of, they do all their assessments and everything, and see, I was a suitable candidate for a guide dog. So a couple of months later, I'm real fortunate. I was really quick through the process of getting a guide dog, and I think I had Mary from. This was February. By the time all the kind of checks had been done, that was around, I don't know, June time. And I had Mary by December.
Mary's the dog, obviously.
Yeah, Mary's my little black lab guide dog. And she's just the most life-enhancing little tool.
Lovely.
So I was so fortunate to get her, because normally the waiting list is 18 months to kind of an infinite amount of time. Because you need to make sure they pair you with the right dog, and it kind of suits your lifestyle. Whereas for me, I would hate, they always say dogs are a bit like their owners. Honestly, if you meet Mary, please don't judge me by Mary. Well, maybe they've got it right, because she's so unhinged and so much fun. But as soon as she's in work mode, she's like laser focused. Sure. But as soon as you take all her get up off, she's back to being an absolute lunatic, which is fun, right? She keeps me on my toes.
My Monty's totally eccentric, batshit crazy.
Yeah.
A little like me when I'm not in professional mode.
Yeah.
So again,
maybe it is. Maybe there's so much.
Maybe we select them reflected on what we want.
Yeah, definitely. It makes sense, right? And so Joe Wicks was looking for some people to go on his podcast, and his podcast called Extraordinary People. And it was all about stories of people overcoming adversity and kind of changes in circumstances and everything. So he contacted guide dogs. Guide dogs were like, we've got just the guy. Brilliant. And it turned out to be me. So it was such a fun experience getting to go and meet him. And, he is what you see on the tin. He's that same guy that you see on Instagram, the same guy you see on kind of whatever TV, PE with Joe. It's the same guy. He's not like it's not an act.
He's his authentic self.
He is very authentic, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it was that kind of thing. I got there, like I like to be early for most things, and I got there early. And for 45 minutes or so, we're chatting before the podcast, and afterwards probably talking for like another hour. And realistically, he could have gone, no, you should be here at 12:30. I'm talking to you from 12:30 till 1:30, that's it. But he wasn't at all, and he was really sound, and so it's really nice to meet him and stuff. And, the whole losing the eyesight thing, although it is annoying, it's also afforded me quite a few opportunities, and even being able to openly talk to you and have kind of that discussion and bring it into some of our sessions. it helped me mentally adjust and reset to kind of where I needed to be, and just inviting it in, right? No longer keeping it as a stranger and keeping it outside. I could invite it in. I think you said to me once, which I carry with me a lot, was that guy from a year ago today is my shadow self. And I really like referring to him as that, because I can never throw him away. He's still always going to be there, but it's my job now to understand the mistakes that my shadow self made. I don't want to carry that forward, so it's keeping him back there, never letting him kind of catch up with me again. And I think that's there's been so many enlightening experiences, and so just like chatting through so much stuff, it's been so cool and
fantastic. And thank you for bringing me into the fold there. I mean, you defined shadow work very accurately there, but you know, sometimes I like to think of, you know, if our past is our shadow, you know, we can rise up from that and embrace the person we're trying to be or who we've achieved. And I listened to the podcast of Joe Wicks, and again, I'm very grateful that you've brought some of the insights that we worked on, but it was such a genuine interaction between the two of you, and you could tell he was full of admiration for you and your story. Just bringing it back to the shadow and rising up, it feels to me as if you're on the journey towards self-actualization, and that is the pinnacle, that is the absolute cherry on the cake. You know, if we were striving to get to the pinnacle of that mountain, that's, you know, when you reach self-actualization, you truly understand yourself. You're entirely congruent. You're honest from the inward outwardly. You project your authentic self. So I guess what I'm asking you is, through all of these processes, your therapeutic journey, I suppose, the adversities that you've strived through and some of which you've overcome. I mean, it is a miraculous and inspirational story that you tell, and quite exceptional, you know?
That's good.
Where would you say, and remembering that we can climb up that ladder to self-actualization, but also stumble back down when shit happens in life. What are you thinking of when I talk about that and your story, I suppose?
Yeah, so sometimes, so you know, you spend a lot of time reflecting on this kind of thing, right? And there's sometimes I look at it and I just think, how the fuck have I got to where I am, right? Because there was some times where the kind of build up to when I managed to get to chat to you and stuff, there was some times where I was thinking, there's no fucking way out of this. There is no way out of this. And I'd always thought of that kind of escapism, or people that choose to take that path and, you know, look at a way of ending things as a real weakness. But I could easily see in the depths of despair how this can happen. I can easily see how it could have happened. And for me, that was my catalyst for stopping drinking also, right?
Yes.
So that very day of when my wife left and stuff, I was like, right, this is I need to take this as a journey of self-improvement. So from that very day, I was right, I'm not going to drink anymore, because I knew I've got such an addictive personality. Whatever I throw myself into, I want to take it to the extreme. And it could even be like a negative of the learning and getting to know yourself a little bit better, which brings us back to that, right? I'm never going to be where I want to be, but that's part of the journey. So by me constantly striving to be a better version of me, I've got to acknowledge the fact I'm never going to be the best version. But by me constantly learning and growing, I'm on my way there all the time.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many things that I can now look back over. And, you know, in a relationship, there is a compromise, but it shouldn't always be me or you that's compromising, right? It should always be a compromise. And there wasn't that in my marriage. Okay. It was always me that was bending, and I was always, I guess, to a degree, being told that I was worthless, essentially. Like, yeah, you earn the money, but, you know, and I have mentioned it before, but I would be introduced to people, especially in the last, you know, 2 years or whatever, we'd go to festivals or whatever. I had this bubbly kind of persona of being quite loud and always, like say, masking with drinking lots, I'll be introduced to people as, oh, he's blind as fuck, he is. And this is by my wife, right?
Yeah.
And whether that was a thing to make her feel better, but inside, you know, it instantly hurts. And then you revert back to that guy that's masking and that imposter syndrome of, oh no, I'm okay. But it's that self-acceptance and, like you say, the congruence of understanding it's okay to be authentically yourself. And that's what I want to kind of, through my coaching and interactions with people, being like, you know, like, it's okay to be yourself.
Sure.
People need to accept you for who you are.
100%.
And there's going to be a ton of people that look at me and go, that guy's a total dick. But there's also going to be quite a few people that go, actually, I quite like him. I think he's honest and he's putting it out there. So I think it's okay.
No, completely. And I suppose that's what I meant by looking inwardly. You know, we have to accept ourselves first, and we can't change others. So those kind of really self-deprecating, hurtful words that your ex-wife would use. I mean, maybe it was her kind of version of masking or minimizing, using humor. I'm not sure, but the point is, I mean, you've said it perfectly and very eloquently. You know, it is a journey, and there has to be a self-awareness that perfectionism is almost impossible, and actually just feeds that lack of self esteem sometimes, because you're trying to attain an unrealistic, unachievable goal, right? You're setting the bar too high. But I mean, you've just described that beautifully, and perhaps we should move on to the coaching thing. And you know, there's lots of like parallels between our work as psychotherapeutic counsellors and the coaching industry. Before we go there, actually, I've remembered what I was going to ask you, because I think the other thing you were alluding to there is the kind of self-deprecating things or self-punishing things that we do, drinking, you know, escapism through use of drugs, are all just nulling, aren't they? They're just numbing down what's actually happening. And at some point we have to face the ghost within us.
Definitely.
And really look at why we're doing those things. And again, I feel like you do that so brilliantly. And there's a difference between like damaging coping mechanisms and the voices that we hear from the people we love. So, you know, we can feel squashed by our wives or partners.
Definitely.
Or unrecognised or unheard or undervalued. You know, there's so many, and eventually we have to look at what our voice is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's that kind of thing where, you know, you start out in a relationship and stuff with all those good intentions, and you should, in my opinion, again, it's my opinion, you should be each other's biggest cheerleader, right? You should be each other's biggest fan, and you should support each other through the highs and lows. And for my part of things, I felt I always had. Maybe I didn't. Maybe that's me not looking objectively at it all. And maybe at some stage I will have, you know, a moment of where I go, actually, I could have handled that bit better. But, you know, somebody else's opinion is a very valid opinion because it's their opinion. And my opinion's a very valid opinion because it's mine. So it's between the two of where you need to work these things out. And I think that, you know, a flippant comment can make somebody have the best day of their life, or it can make somebody have the worst day of their life, you know. And it could be said something, you know, you could just say something and that person is having a terrible day that day, and whatever you could say could really pick them up, or it could just be like, actually, that's it, you've sealed my fate with that one flippant comment.
100%, completely agree. Okay, so this was the inaugural video, and again, I'm so honoured and grateful that it was with you, Mark. And you know, you mentioned friendship there, and rarely, in fact, it's considered unethical to be friends with your clients, certainly when you're working together. But I believe there's a blossoming friendship between the two of us, and we're no longer, I should state for the record, Mark isn't my client anymore.
No, not anymore.
And he has agreed to do this in the brilliantly open and honest way that he has. I wonder if you'd like to just round things off by telling us a bit about your coaching career, and I know, you know, see all the branding on your socials. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I've kind of, like I say, I want to kind of move forward and out of all the, show other people that they can overcome adversity and you know, build a little bit of mental resilience, and whether it be people going through a sight loss journey or just basically anything, there is a way out of all of this. So I've started my own coaching business, which is Beyond Limits Life Coaching. I'm on Instagram, and you know, the website being built and everything. So it is a new business. I trained under a guy called Andy Ramage, who is the 1 year no beer guy. So he's really into the alcohol-free living and everything, and it just gave me a really good understanding of what coaching is. But ultimately, I've got 25 years of getting people into physical fitness and stuff, and even with that, you know, there's probably not a secret somebody isn't willing to tell a personal trainer, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like counselling on that level. But for me, I'm going to take it forwards with coaching and a little bit of mentoring. And it's just somewhere I'm really interested in being, and whether I get into kind of therapeutic counselling and something at some stage would be really interesting, you know, alternative to my journey. But at the moment, I'm focusing on the life coaching and seeing where we go from there.
Brilliant. Well, I see a lot of collaboration in the future for the two of us.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, because I think the two can work so hand in hand. I know with kind of your aspect of counselling and stuff, you're building people up to say, you know, 1 or above, whereas for me, I'm going from 1 upwards. So you know, it can work hand in hand, and I think it's a journey for people, and until you're willing to get on that kind of ride, then you don't know what your full potential is going to be.
And also, as you alluded to, sometimes I refer to it as like the hairdresser syndrome. Some of the students that come on my level 3 hypnotherapy and basic counselling course, you know, they're big barbers or hairdressers, and it is just that thing of like the anonymous person who people just open up to, you know. And I can actually see some parallels in your work as a fitness coach, not just in that respect, but like the competitive drive almost that may end up coming in as a coach, depending on which clients you take on. Mark, it has been brilliant. I've really thoroughly enjoyed that, and it's just lovely to reunite with you. I've not seen you for
honestly, man, it's a real privilege to get to sit down and chat to you. So no, it's the privilege is all mine. So thank you.
That's what, brother. Cool.